Hi folks, George here. Thought I'd give you an update on what Jan and I have been up to for the last several weeks. We arrived in Southern California on the 11th of October, and we spent a few days with visiting friends and family here in Southern California. Then we went over to Palm Springs to our timeshare, spent 5 days over there. Unfortunately, no one was available to spend the time with us there. But we had a wonderful time. It was great weather. In fact, the whole trip has been great weather. I'll tell you a few exceptions as we go along. But all our friends and relatives, when we were over in Palm Springs, had excuses like school and work and those type of things. We couldn't understand it, but they thought it was important. So anyway, after our Palm Springs time, we came back to Temecula for one night, and then we went on to, I've got a pesky fly after me, I'll have to chase him away. Anyway, we, after a night in Temecula, we headed up on last Sunday, Sunday before last. We headed up to Clovis to visit my brother Daryl and his wife Erna. And I had a lovely evening dinner and then breakfast in the morning before we took off. We were able to see my 90-year-old uncle in Atwater for a while. I had some lunch with him and his wife Betty, and we then got back in the car and headed up to Sacramento. We had booked a motel in North Sacramento for a couple nights, and on that Monday night, we got to go to my niece Sherilyn's house and meet with all her family. I think one of her sons was not able to make it, but everybody else did. And my sister Vernan was there. We had a lovely dinner, nice chat afterwards. And then the next day, we spent some more time with Vernan, had lunch with her, and we had breakfast and dinner with her. And then the next day we headed up to Reno for a business conference that was actually scheduled Friday through Sunday, and we got there a day early, so we were able to relax and regroup for a little bit. Weather in Reno was beautiful. It was mid-70s every day, sunny, bright. We didn't get a lot of time out in the sunshine, but it was beautiful to look out the window from the conference and see the sunny days. After the conference, we spent Sunday night there in Reno and then headed up the next day to Springfield, Oregon. And we had been checking the weather and making sure that the mountain passes weren't going to get any snow or anything like that. We did get there's somebody trying to ring in here. I don't know why my phone doesn't always work when I try to make it work. But anyway, we got rid of that, and now we're up to Springfield, going over the mountains there at night. We did have some rain, and we did see a little bit of snow on the side of the road, so that was a little concerning until we got down to the lower elevations and the temperature rose up well above freezing. So we spent a night in Springfield. We took a look at some properties we have there the next day, and were able to get on the road and on up to our friend's house in near Portland, a little town called Sherwood. Yeah, we had a hotel room there for 3 nights. We spent the days with our friend in Sherwood, and the first night we were able to have dinner with my niece Heidi, very nice. And the next night we had dinner with my grandson Ben and his fiancee Kimberly. They're planning to marry next June, so it was nice to catch up with them. I hadn't seen Ben in 3 or 4 years, and I hadn't seen Heidi in about as long. So that was great. Then we took off from Sherwood and headed down to Fort Bragg um, on, I think that was Saturday? No, Friday. On Friday. Yeah, we got over the hills and everything okay, even though they were predicting rain for Portland. We didn't see a lot of rain, and we were able to get over the mountains and down the woods, and we had, I think, 40 miles or more of twisty, windy road going through the redwood forest to get over to Fort Bragg. But we finally got there. I think it was 10:30 or later when we checked into our motel, and we were up till midnight. But then we got some sleep the next morning, so everything was a little better. Got to meet with my brother David and his wife Elaine. Went through a museum that had some history of my dad's family. My great grandfather had settled in the region in 1884, and so my grandfather and his brothers and one sister grew up in that area. So there's a lot of history, and so we went through a museum and saw a lot of old pictures and things. In fact, where we had lunch, there was a actual steam engine that my grandfather had been engineer on, hauling logs through the forest, and there was a picture of him in the cab and a little write-up about him there on the steam engine. So that was extremely interesting. It was very nice to finally get up to where my brother and his wife have lived for 30 years, the first time we had been able to visit him there. So then on, what was it? On Saturday afternoon, we took off and we went to Sacramento. We stopped in there and had dinner with my sister, Vernan again, and then the next morning we took off, headed south on Interstate 5. We were finally able to find a motel near Bakersfield on Interstate 5 and spent the night before driving back down to Temecula. So now we're down in Temecula. We've got about a week here. We've got a lot more friends and family to see, and then we fly home on the 13th, a red eye on the 13th. We fly back to Costa Rica. So there's a little update. Anyone who's stood with me through the whole thing, I congratulate you. It's a little longer video than I had planned, but we've had a very busy time. A quick calculation showed that we put on over 3,000 miles on the rental car that we picked up at LAX when we arrived, and so it's been a long journey, but very rewarding to see everybody, and so we look forward to seeing the rest, and then we'll look forward to another trip back to California in a year or so. So that's it for now. Thanks for staying with me, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.